Good morning. Good to see you.
How are you, Bob?
Good, good. Happy Monday. So what's the deal with the feature CRA offers called Autofill My Return? An individual can download their info from CRA and have it automatically completed?
Well, that's the theory behind it. Yes, CRA has been talking a little while now about autofilling the returns and doing the returns for you, sending them to you, having them filled out. The thing about the autofill is that there's a couple of things in there that just don't seem to work right, and so people, individuals, taxpayers should not trust it entirely. It is working well, but it's dependent on a couple of things happening to make it work, and that mainly comes down to the employers, the financial institutions, anyone that issues slips has to in fact submit those slips to CRA. If they're not submitted in the right format, then they don't get into the system, they don't get downloaded. CRA now saying, well, you didn't report all your income, even though they didn't have it for you to download. The other factor with it is it downloads income only. It doesn't take into effect any deductions or tax credits or anything else that may be there to reduce your taxes. And then very often we find that the information is incomplete. Biggest example right now is T3 trust slips. They would be mainly for mutual funds. Those are not even due out until March 31st. So anybody downloading right now is probably not getting all the T3 slips that they should have. Therefore, their information is incomplete. If you file the return, you're going to be missing slips. CRA is going to be looking for penalties and non-reporting and all kinds of things like that.
Yeah.
So the short answer is it works well, but it's dependent on the information that's there. So it should be back-checked against the paper slips you receive.
Right. So the T3s that you mentioned, not required until the end of the month. Kind of frustrating for people who have everything else ready to go and doesn't leave a lot of time.
Yeah, you know, one of the things with T3 slips is they're becoming the biggest problem that we have, and the reason being is that the slips are not due out until March 31st. We have to file the returns by April the 30th. They go in the mail. We get them around, April the 10th, something like that, and it makes for a very constricted problem. The other issue that comes in with the T3 slips is, and this applies mainly to mutual funds, a mutual fund basket could have maybe 10 or 15 different investments inside of that.
Right.
And what is happening is each one of those individual investments in that basket are being reported to CRA individually. So what happens there is when you do your download on your autofill, you're ending up with 10, maybe 15 different slips. But the financial institution that's looking after it for you, they send you one slip. Okay, so you're sitting there with one slip in your hand and CRA saying, well, where's the other 9?
Right.
And the reconciliation becomes a real problem with that.
Okay. We're running out of time here, but capital gains and losses, anything to be aware of?
Again, if we deal with the autofill, the biggest problem there is the cost base on those capital gains. Financial institutions are supposed to have started to supply the cost base for those so that it's in the download. But the unfortunate thing is that the financial institution doesn't have that cost. They fill it in as zero. And that means that your full sale of that investment is now being taxed as a 100% capital gain, as opposed to just the profits on it.
So that's going to be cross-checked.
All kinds of fun, Bob.
Oh, yeah. That's why we have you on all the time during tax season. And we'll talk again soon. And more information online at The Accounting Place. Alan Rowell, good to see you. Have a great week.
You too. Bye now.